if 1 in 500 to 1 in 1,000 live male births are XXY chromosomed people, yeah, and I don't know the statistics of every other syndrome, but you've got Ramstein syndrome, you've got Turner syndrome, you've got all sorts of syndromes, right, where people are displaying some type of medically labeled gender dysphoria, yeah, or something like that, or they're dealing with hormonally challenged people, or their sex chromosomes are different to the general, right? So I'm talking about the statistics of 1 in 500 to 1 in 1,000 live male births, yeah, that are XXY. I personally think it's 1 in 500 to 1,000 live XXY births. No male should come into the point. I don't think male should be coming in. And I think most of us are intersex. I think there is nothing abnormal about somebody being born with XXY chromosomes. That is why I, Gavin Coleman, Peace and Party, am against, yes, the terminology used by the medical community in general, like especially sex chromosome abnormality. Why do you need to put the abnormality in there? As if to say there is some type of happy medium normal. And plus, my point of the statistics is that you've got Klinefelter's syndrome, which is technically XXY. It's called Klinefelter syndrome because Dr. Harry Klinefelter found out about this first, so it was named after him. I mean, it's ridiculous. Klinefelter syndrome. That doesn't make sense to people. Much better to tell them I'm XXY, not tell them I've got Klinefelter syndrome. And especially the fact that most XXYs don't have all the symptoms of Klinefelter syndrome, and most people with XXY chromosomes don't look like the typical Klinefelter syndrome person in the medical textbook pictures. So I don't believe that, let's put it this way, I believe that the majority of this planet Earth are ... intersex, definitely intersex to me, and for me, and the way I see all of us being intersex, is the fact that we are human beings, and we can no longer, each and every one of us can no longer pretend that we don't have little bits of the supposed opposite sex that we're not supposed to be. Do you understand? Like if I'm supposed to be male, I've definitely got some female in me, in my behaviors, my characteristics, maybe the way I eat, the way I scratch my head, anything, the way I cross my legs, maybe I sit down and piss, So, I think for anybody, I understand many XXY males, and if they want to call themselves XXY males, then maybe they've got a sex chromosome abnormality. Maybe in that situation, because then they're trying to call themselves males, when in fact, in my opinion, they're not. So, because they're XXY, and a male is XY. And I regurgitate this whole bullshit of XY is male when it's actually not. Just for you science heads, and most religious heads, because most religious heads are very scientific as well, Anyway, point is that you stop yourself because you're going, that doesn't make sense. No, most religious heads are not science heads. That's true. They're quite the opposite, aren't they? They don't believe in science. They believe in God. Well, now I've lost the point now, but I think that most people are intersex. That's my main point. And I just think that the only reason that there's such a resistance to even discussing intersex is because of the actual word intersex itself. I think if it was another word like monkey, even though the religious people have a few problems there. But if it was monkey, if it wasn't intersex, if intersex, the meaning of intersex was exchanged for the word monkey, and we said, you're a monkey, I think that, many more people would be like, yeah, I am. Yeah, I'm a monkey. Yeah, exactly. Like, I mean, how many apes and monkeys out there in the wild do we actually look at, right? And when we're watching nature documentaries, or if we happen to live near monkeys, how many of them do we actually look at and go, oh, is that a male or is that a female? I mean, we do want to know at some point whether that monkey's got a penis or a vagina, if we're studying the monkey, because we want to know. We need to know nearly. Is it male or is it female? That's the way the human being thinks. Yeah. And that's what I'm trying to get to. Why does the human being need to know? Because going back to the monkeys, they could be jumping around the trees, they could be sitting in the grass, they could be eating their thing, they could be shitting their thing, they could be doing whatever they're doing. They do quite similar stuff to what we do. But so does every animal. Every animal wants to live, survive, eat, have sex, have a place to live, and have a couple of friends. Yeah. Anyway, I think that monkeys, you can see male traits and female traits in each monkey that swings and jumps and shits and eats and fights and whatever. So, it's got to stop this ridiculousness from people who are just 100% faith-based scientific believers. Because scientists and science, science is a continuous thing. They're continuing to discover more and more and better and better. And all I'm saying about scientists and science and medical people is that you're brilliant for so many things, but for some things you're crap, and the fact that I've gone through my life, and my first 22 years of my life, I went through going to doctors that didn't have a clue about my situation. They misdiagnosed me so many times. Yeah, my mother was the only person who was actually right about every single thing I had, and she wasn't just talking about common colds. She was talking about all sorts of other things, and made sure that I got the right tests, even though the doctor would have said, he doesn't have that, he doesn't have that. My mother would enforce the fact, well, look it, we want the test anyway. We'd get the test. What happened? Getting the result that my mother thought it was. So, truly and honest to God, people, my mother happens to be an absolutely amazing woman, and the people that have met her would agree with that. But equally, she's not doing the best that she could be doing for our community. And you know why? Because look at our community. A bunch of, people arguing with each other, like in mostly in nasty ways. But I hope that you see my video here and how, quite calm I'm trying to be, and quite trying to be politically correct. I don't want to offend anybody. I'm not out to offend anybody. If anybody gets offended by it, it's your own problem. But I'm not out to offend anybody. Excuse me. So but this is also, mind, very important, to talk well about the world and about yourself through your own mind. That's where it starts, or at least that's where it's really important. Maybe this is where it starts at the heart, but this is important. You've got to, program your brain well. And if you go around telling yourself that you're an abnormality, that is not going to work well for you. And trust me, it will not work well for you. Something will not be right in your body. And in your mind, of course, you'll be thinking, I'm abnormal. And I would say to you, well, what's normal? And you'll say, well, an XY person is normal. Somebody who doesn't have ambiguous genitalia is normal. somebody who doesn't have gender dysphoria is normal. And I'll say to you, you're absolutely wrong there. There is no normal. And XY isn't male. There are plenty of female phenotype people out there with XY chromosomes. And there are equally lots of XXYs out there who look like both, or don't look like, they look androgynous. So that's why I say, and I will continue to say it, and I don't mind the medical community. In fact, the medical community have yet to, even with their established selves, haven't had the bravery, obviously, or they're just ignorant, which they prove themselves, to come and talk to me. I'm on YouTube with loads of videos, and I'd like to discuss people, all or most people, being intersex. Ciao, peace.